And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Vice President of Friendship Heights Neighbors Network, Kathleen McGinnis. Kathleen is also a commissioner on the Commission on Aging for Montgomery County, advocating for older adults. Her previous experience includes a leadership role with a home care company in Montgomery County. Kathleen is a resident of Friendship Heights. I now turn the program over to Kathleen.
Thank you, Louise. And thank you, Carrie, for being there, our Friendship Heights Neighbors Network staff. And we're delighted to have Seabury Resources speak with us this morning. Seabury Resources on aging in Washington, D.C., but they also serve Maryland too. So, this Seabury, I've worked with for many years, and they're a fabulous organization, and you're going to be happy you're here today. So my first guest today is Elizabeth Boyd, PhD, who is an author and educator with experience teaching lifelong learners as well as university students of all ages. Elizabeth is Director of Community Outreach and Education at Seabury Resources for Aging in Washington, D.C., and she partners with congregations to address the issues of aging and to support work by and with older people. She's the co-author of The Path Ahead, Spirituality and Purpose in Later Life, and project lead for Common Threads, an intergenerational worship series. Worship, not workshop. Sorry, Elizabeth. She delights in reframing aging for persons of faith. An interdisciplinary scholar by training, she has more than a decade of university-level teaching experience. I lost my place. Oh my goodness. By training, she has more than a decade of university-level teaching experience, including at Vanderbilt University and the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. She is also the author of Southern Beauty, Race, Ritual, and Memory in the Modern South, published in 2022. A lifelong Episcopalian, Elizabeth lives in Tacoma Park, Maryland. Take it away, Elizabeth. We'll introduce Christine when she starts to speak. Sorry.
Yeah, I am a resident of Montgomery County. And
I like that.
And I'm also a commissioner on the Montgomery County Commission on Aging, if that's ever useful to you. I'm a new commissioner, so I'm still learning my way around that important advocacy organization. As Kathleen mentioned, I work as Director of Community Outreach and Education, and I thought I would start today by just giving you a really quick overview of Seabury's work, and then focus on 4 areas of our work that is available in Montgomery County. So Seabury was founded in 1924 in Georgetown as the Episcopal Church home. It grew out of the recognition of a lot of Episcopalian women at the 1924 Diocesan Convention who realized that we needed housing for elderly people. And our first residence was located at Wisconsin and Macomb. And we were then able to consolidate legacy bequests of real estate and moved to Sevier House in Georgetown for many years before moving to Tinleytown, where we now have our Friendship Terrace independent living community there on Butterworth Place. It's about a block from the Tinleytown metro station. Seabury now serves, so that's how we started out, but our constituency has broadened considerably. We serve many people besides Episcopalians these days. And in fact, we are the lead agency for wards 5 and 6 in the district for the Department of Aging and Community Living. And in that capacity, we offer, we run 11 dining sites where seniors can come for a free lunch and programming, combating social isolation, nutrition counseling and education, health promotion activities, all sorts of social activities. We also run the Model City Senior Wellness Center in Ward 5, which is an extremely active and fun place to be. They have about 650 members, I think, that also come there for all sorts of classes and exercise and lunch. We run the Older Blind program and the Out and About program, which is an LGBTQ fellowship program that is very successful. And what else do we have here on this slide, Christine? Home First Residences is, I will talk about housing in a moment, but Home First is a special collection of 3 congregate homes, congregate living homes in Northeast DC, which are provide independent living for people mostly who are formerly homeless. And these are also located there next to the old Washington home on 18th Street. Sorry, I'm just seeing if I've left anything out. I will talk about age and place in a moment. So regarding, let me see what your other slides are, Christine. I don't know.
That's it for,
Oh, that's it? Okay. All right. Very good.
yeah, I was going to stop sharing in a minute.
That's okay. So regarding what is available to in Montgomery County, first of all, housing. You do not need to be a DC resident to live at Friendship Terrace, which is our independent living community there in Tinleytown that I mentioned. One thing interesting to know about is that a couple of years ago, we refinanced the entire building and were able to make it deeply affordable, adding 125 HUD vouchers to the building. So the entire building is now deeply affordable with no one paying more than 30% of their income. We also self-seeded $2 million of a $3 million food security program so that all of those residents will be able to afford the required evening meal plan. So that is a real investment in that community. We also refurbished the public spaces, added solar. We did a lot of cool things at that building. So that is very exciting. So we now have, and that's a very unusual thing to be able to contribute to the community, is deeply affordable housing in Ward 3. We are also, regarding housing, redeveloping our property in downtown Silver Spring, which was called Springvale Terrace, and I believe the new version will be called the Springvale. And it will also offer affordable housing between 30 and 80% of AMI. I'm going to show you a picture of it. Right now, we are about to demolish the existing building. All of the former residents have been rehomed, and then we will begin construction, and we will have 326 beautiful new units there on Wayne Avenue and Springvale Drive in downtown Silver Spring. It's close to the Whole Foods, if you know where that is, all of those. And if you're a real old timer in the area, it's right up the road from the old Blair High School. So we are adding, yeah, this is the other rendering. So that's going to come online, I think, in about 3 years, now that we have been given permission to demolish. Those will be larger units, actually, and more units than we currently have. There will be some 2-bedroom units, so that is a little bit new and different. We also have started up again our Seabury connector shuttle bus service focusing on group trips. So this service is available for excursions and can accommodate, I believe it's 14 people, which is 12 people plus room for 2 wheelchairs. And our drivers are experienced and trained to serve older people. This is a great opportunity if you have a group that wants to take a trip, an excursion. I believe there's a 2.5-hour minimum if you're doing sort of a grocery run, but if you're doing going to an event, I believe it's 4.5 hours. And I can put you in touch with the director of transportation, Brandon Hill. In a moment, I will put my email in the chat. Congregational resources. In that capacity, I work with congregations to provide outreach, to let them know, just sort of like what we're doing today, all of what Seabury can offer. We also have developed a curriculum on the spirituality of aging called The Path Ahead, Spirituality and Purpose in Later Life. And we developed this in partnership with the Episcopal Diocese of Washington. It's a 6-part series about the experience of aging through a spiritual lens. And what we do is train facilitators online on how to use this curriculum and how to offer it in your own congregation. It is Judeo-Christian, so it's not interfaith yet, but it is user-friendly and a really good community builder within congregations for addressing this issue. We train people 3 times a year on Zoom through the Episcopal Diocese of Washington's School for Christian Faith and Leadership, which is their online school. And if you want to find them, you just go to learn.edow.org, and that will take you to their library of courses. And the Path Ahead is one of them. So if you're interested in that, I'm one of the facilitator trainers. The other one is the Reverend Susan Walker, who's a deacon in the diocese. But you could contact me directly if you're interested in learning more about that. Service opportunities are available to you in Montgomery County, especially at our housing communities, as well as at Age in Place. Age in Place operates from our Ward 6 office, and they take teams of volunteers to about 175 clients in wards 4, 5, and 6, and they perform yard work and house cleaning depending on what's needed with the client. And the client gets service about every 6 weeks. It allows people who need a little help keeping up their home to stay in their home a bit longer. So we have this Age in Place program that takes teams of volunteers 5 days a week. It's a 4-hour project, and you can either do a morning project or you can do an afternoon project. You come to our office, you get a little orientation. We provide all of the materials, all the supplies. We take you on our shuttle bus to the site. You perform the work under the direction of our volunteer manager. And then you come back to the office for a brief reflection. And it's just a great opportunity to serve. So if you're interested in that, Age in Place, and you can contact me, I will put you in contact with our volunteer manager. I think that's all I have to talk about today. So I will turn it over to Christine, or does Kathleen want to introduce Christine?
Okay, yes. Happy to introduce Christine, who I've known for many years. And Christine is a licensed social worker, an aging life care manager, and director of Seabury Resources for Aging Care Management Program. Christina spent a career in nonprofits, both in healthcare and in the community. She began as a care manager with Seabury in 2009. Wow, good for you, Christine. That's a long time. Christine is a member of the National Association of Social Workers, is an aging life care member, and is a licensed clinical social worker in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So she's a perfect fit for Seabury Resources for Aging, which is a nonprofit corporation whose mission is to provide personalized, affordable services and housing options to help older adults in the greater Washington, D.C. area live with independence and dignity. Seabury Resources for Aging was founded in 1924, as Elizabeth mentioned, as the Episcopal Church home, and is now 100+ years old. I think Seabury Resources for Aging Care Management Program was started in August of 1996, and then known as ESM Cares. And they will be celebrating 30 years in 2026. So obviously they're doing something that works. The Care Management Program is a nonprofit care management program that serves seniors in the District of Columbia, counties of Montgomery and Prince George's County in Maryland and Northern Virginia. I didn't know about Northern Virginia. How about that? Care management addresses the challenges confronting seniors and provides family members and the caregivers with guidance and support. Care managers link seniors and their families with support system to vital services, counsel seniors in times of stress and illness, and discuss making a move. They advocate for appropriate services and care, and they stay involved to make sure that their needs are met. So a whole plethora of do-gooding going on there. So thank you, Christine. Take it away.
Thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate that. And thank you all for inviting us to be here again. I'm going to share my screen here and start the slideshow again. And you will get a copy of these. All right. So, and most of these, I just kind of wanted to run through quickly and then spend more time on kind of what the services of care management are. But I added a couple extra screens just for your reference. So yes, as Kathleen said, we are about to celebrate 30 years in 2026, so we're excited about that. Monica Miklos founded the program back in '96, and she's still with Seabury as well. She's now our managing director of programs. And Seabury Care Management, we fall under the mission and values of Seabury Resources for Aging, but we also have a little bit of a separate goal that's maintained within that, just helping our clients really maintain a high quality of life. As Kathleen mentioned, our role is to provide counsel and advocacy and coordination of care for our clients. And then our life enrichment program, which was started in 2010, was really created 2017. Name change was in 2010. It was really created to address the unique needs of our older adults who end up being isolated in their homes sometimes and really need that engagement. I know I've seen many of the villages have done presentations about just the detrimental effects of social isolation and how much that is now we've found is impacting our health. So that was something that we really wanted to address as well. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about all of this. One of the questions I'm always asked, and I'm just going to fly through this, but why do people seek out care management? And it does tend to happen during a crisis. It does tend to happen when maybe an older adult has a fall, or they have a new diagnosis, whether it's dealing with cognitive impairment and dementia, whether it's something like Parkinson's, or just a chronic illness that has really kind of ramped up or changes have happened. It may be when a child suddenly comes into town, um, or not suddenly, but comes into town and suddenly sees, oh, my parent isn't functioning as well. And so many child care partners who are children of the older adult are in that sandwich generation. Um, and then there's that push pull between, I want to be independent. I don't want my children to be burdened with my care, and the child thinking, how am I going to take care of my children? How am I going to take care of my parent? And it's usually they need somebody sometimes just to help them kind of talk on the same page, because at the end of all those emotions, they're really also just want to take care of one another. So these are the times when people look for care management and can turn to care management for that help. But of course, one of the things we always say is it's good to plan ahead. It's good to know what resources are out there. Even if you don't need ongoing care management, it may be worth a consultation, or for us, a roadmap that can just give you an idea of what's out there. So some key components to um, care management, no matter who you work with, is it really is about the relationship between the care manager and the client. It's always very client centered. So even if a person comes to us because of a care partner or because of a child expressing concerns, our client is always the older adult. So we want to understand who they are, what makes them tick, what are their needs, what are their goals, what resources and supports are already in place, and then what's missing. What recommendations can we make? We do not make decisions for people. We make recommendations. And then when the client or their decision maker makes the decision, we help move that forward. Oops. And a care manager should be an expert in these 8 areas of knowledge. This is from the Aging Life Care Association, which is the National Association of Aging Life Care Managers, of which Seabury Care Management is a part of. So the number one piece, as I already mentioned, is crisis intervention. Again, when people tend to seek out services. Health and disability, being able to navigate the different providers, what kind of disability services are out there, making sure that whole group is talking to one another. Having an idea of the financial situation. I don't want to know everything about my client's financial situation, but I want to know enough to be able to make a recommendation that makes sense. And I should have an expertise in what are the price points of the aging services that are out there. How much does home care cost? How much do assisted livings cost, or CCRCs? All of that type of piece. It doesn't mean that I don't have to go back and see what the latest pricing point is, but it does mean that I should have a general idea of what's going on in the DMV. How about legal? Are people's powers of attorney in place? Do they have a advance directive on file? Who's keeping track of that? Do you need help choosing a power of attorney? So we can often help a client kind of weigh the pros and cons of that. There's also a lot of people who don't feel like they have someone to choose to be a power of attorney. So who could that be? There are individuals out there who will take on powers of attorney, who can be paid to take that on. Sometimes oftentimes it's an attorney or a lawyer or a mediator of some kind who is willing to do that. And we also make referrals to individuals as appropriate. So it may not mean, we don't provide caregiving services through Seabury Resources for Aging, but we do have partnerships with groups that are out there who provide that service. Of course, housing, knowing what the difference is between these various levels of care out there. When I first started, which again, Kathleen said was back in 2009, August actually, whenever I answered the information and assistance line, it was frequently, if it was a family member, the family member would say, my so-and-so needs to move into a nursing home. And I would say, after listening to them a little bit, understanding what was going on with the older adult, it's like they don't really need a nursing home. They actually need assisted living. And then also with clients, I don't want to move into the nursing home. When there's so many levels before a nursing home is often not appropriate for people. Family, I talked about working through those dynamics. Again, knowing what the local resources are. What are the Office on Aging's offering to their community? What benefits, things like veterans benefits. We have a partnership right now with Senior Living Foundation, which is a group that assists former members of the Foreign Service. And so knowing kind of about some of those resources that are out there. And then, of course, advocacy. That's such a big part, just making sure that our clients are heard and that their needs are being addressed, whether it's through the home care agency, whether it's an assisted living, whether it's another provider that's coming into the home, a daily money manager or a person to declutter. So what does Seabury Care Management offer? We have our information and assistance line. That phone number will be at the end, so you'll have that, and I'll also put it in the chat when I'm done speaking. This is really the entry point for services, but it's also a time where we kind of talk through, because some calls that come in, they don't want care management, they aren't ready for care management, they just want to be pointed to another resource. Sometimes they came to us instead of going to another part of Seabury. And sometimes they really just want to know what home care agencies are out there, what companion services are available. So we provide that information. Our roadmap consultation is a flat fee consultation that we have where we get some information from the older adult or their family member. Sometimes it's family members or neighbors or other people. We get some information about the older adult. We review that, which includes kind of what is the purpose of the call. And then we meet with them for 2 hours. We kind of walk through everything. This is not a time to be, writing down the different resources. Kathleen McGinnis, 555-555. This is really about talking it through. Well, what is this person going to offer? What kind of services are we looking at? And usually we're not even talking about a person. We're just talking about the category of service and when we would expect that somebody might need to tap into that. Then within 2 weeks of that meeting, we provide a written report that lists out kind of a summary of what we talked about, what our recommendations would be as different things come up or to address whatever it was that they called about. And then it contains that list of somebody's name with their phone number and the company, etc. That's not to say if you need somebody's phone number right then and there, because there's a safety issue or something else, I'm going to withhold it. But we really just don't want to spend the 2 hours, dictating out names and phone numbers that you can easily pull up. Our consultation is kind of those brief consultations. So questions that come up, maybe oftentimes this is used by former clients who, perhaps they closed services for one reason or another. Maybe they moved into assisted living and they felt like, you know what, I don't need services anymore. And then something comes up while they're in the assisted living. They may call us back, and it may result in them coming back on board as a client. We also have individuals who aren't really ready for the ongoing care management, but would like to consult with us, and that's at our regular hourly rate, which I'll go into in a moment. And then, of course, we have our care management, which includes all those pieces that were a couple slides earlier. So the whole assessment, which is similar to the roadmap, but it really gets more in depth. We usually say an assessment takes at least 2 visits, and then there's often phone calls to those resources that you already have in place or that the older adult already has in place. Oftentimes, when the situation has been stabilized or that assessment is through, people might just have a twice a month visit, maybe a once a month visit. We're working on those care plan items at each visit. And then if something happens, we kind of jump on where the boots on the ground that will often meet somebody at the hospital to advocate for them. We follow them through that continuum of care. So you may be living in your own home, but you have a hospital stay. So we come and advocate in the hospital for you, work with the discharge planner there to get you back home safely, make sure that all the services that should be in place are in place and that that's going well. If it seems like you need a rehab stay, then we're working with the discharge planner to find you a quality location. I know, since COVID, the nursing homes really have not recovered. So it's knowing what's the latest and greatest that's going on with those places. Same thing with the senior living communities and the home care agencies. The other nice thing about Seabury Care Management is we can also follow you through different jurisdictions. So let's say you're living in Montgomery County, but you go to Sibley Hospital, and then you end up in their Renaissance unit. Well, we will follow you there. And then if you do end up moving into a senior living community, and let's just go all the way and say you go over to Virginia, well, we're going to follow you over there too. Maybe somebody's daughter or son lives over there, and that just seems to make more sense to them. So we follow you through both the continuum of services, but also through locations. And we do sometimes work with clients or family members who want to have their parents move here and their parents also want to move here. And then we've also worked with other care managers in other parts of the country when and if somebody wants to make that move the opposite way. Our life enrichment program, I'm going to go into that in just a moment. It has its own slide. Then we also do presentations. We're asked to do presentations much like this. We're also asked to do presentations for different groups in person on different topics. And then last year, our advancement team at Seabury asked us to help them with a webinar series for the year. So the first one was actually yesterday. The first one for this year was yesterday. And that was actually on this topic. It was navigating aging, what care management can do for you. It was recorded and it will be available next week if you happen to want to get more into depth on some of these slides and more slides. The next one will be in January and it's on medical advocacy in case you want to join in. We can certainly get that information out to you. We have a few support groups in the area. We have 2 support groups at the original Kensington Park in Kensington. We have a support group that's for any care partners who have a family member or a partner who is dealing with dementia or maybe is just in the assisted living there. And then there's one that's specifically for spouses and partners of. We also work with the senior resources at Sibley Senior Association. Sorry, blanked on that for a minute. With their Club Memory program, they're near AU. I think it's the Methodist church there. They meet twice a month, and we help our life enrichment actually helps partner with them on the activities group. If you don't know what Club Memory is, it's a fabulous resource. It's for those who are caring for a partner or a spouse or a mother or a father who has dementia. And it's very neat because they have a support group going on for the care partners, but then they also have one for the individual who has just been diagnosed with cognitive issue or with dementia. And then one for those who are a little bit further along in the dementia diagnosis. And there's an activity group for those who a support group really doesn't work well for. And then they celebrate lunch together. So we partner with them to provide kind of that engagement and activity. We started out there as a support group for early onset, but it didn't take off. So we ended up in the activities piece. Then we have a Brighton Gardens at Friendship Heights support group that should be getting off the ground this month. That one is going to start out just for individuals who have a family member in their memory care, in their Renaissance Club there. But the intent is to open it up to other individuals, care partners for those in the assisted living section, and then also out into the community. So we're excited about that. And with the Kensington Park one, you're definitely welcome to contact me. Leslie Mason is the person who runs that one, and we can certainly get you hooked up with one of those groups if that applies to you. With the Brighton Gardens one, Michelle McGrath will be facilitating that. So one of the things you want to ask any care management agency is, what does their fee structure look like? Unfortunately, care management is not covered through insurance. Sometimes somebody's long-term care insurance might cover an hour a month. I've never actually seen it happen with my clients, but rumor has it there are plans out there that will do that. It's not covered by health insurance or things like that, although sometimes there's a care consultation, but that tends to be something that only a doctor can charge. Our rate is $185 an hour. We kind of try to keep everything simple and just do most of it at that rate in 6-minute increments. It's for anything done for or on behalf of clients. We also include some travel time in there, but we cap it off. So we say 45 minutes for a round trip. So if it takes me an hour, a half hour to get to somebody's place and a half hour back, well, 45 minutes we ask the client to pay, and the other 15 Seabury takes care of. Our life enrichment program is 75 an hour. And then one of the things that makes Seabury Care Management unique is that we are a nonprofit. And as such, we try to make sure that 20% of our service hours are funded through the equity fund or assisted through the equity fund. So that reduces the cost of the care management or life enrichment services for individuals. Unfortunately, typically we do have a wait list for that, but every once in a while, something comes available. So it's always good to check in with us and to see what kind of availability. It's also used frequently for individuals who may have ended up spending down. Many of our clients are with us for a decent amount of time. We've had people who've stayed with us for many, many years, 10 plus years, some for as much as 7 or 5 years. And then, of course, there are individuals who really just, want us to focus on one or two different things. Maybe they just stay with us for a short term, a year or two, something like that. Right. So our life enrichment services, I did want to just spend a minute on the life enrichment service. We have 5 life enrichment team members who all of them have come to us from different walks of life. Many had successful careers in education and education management, social work, marketing and outreach for senior communities. But they all have decided or realized that they have a passion for older adults. And so they came to us. And what they do is really spend time with their clients, getting to know them. It might be going on outings. We had one individual, unfortunately, he passed away a couple months ago. Um, but he really needed some extra engagement. And the the most amazing thing was that he was wheelchair bound and he had aphasia, so he couldn't communicate except, through body language and expression. He had a full-time caregiver with him and the life enrichment specialist, and he went all over town. One of the neatest things they did was, again, he wasn't able to communicate. He was actually under guardianship. Um, Nobody knew where his mother's grave was. And, people knew. And so the life enrichment specialist found out where she was buried. And she and the caregiver would take him there once or twice a month. She would bring flowers that they could put on the grave. It was really special. And the first time she took him there, she said you could just tell that something within him had been satisfied and addressed because he completely brightened up and he had the biggest smile on his face. And these are two of our other clients, along with one of the life enrichment specialists. Sometimes it's about going to medical appointments. As a care manager, I want to meet all of my clients' doctors and physicians, but there may be some routine visits that a life enrichment specialist could take someone on, take notes, and report back to myself as the care manager, but then also to care partners. And on this particular trip, she knew there was going to be a wait. And so she brought along Valentine's Day cards and they filled it out for his family and sent them off, which was really nice for the family as well. But it might be some cultural activities. It might be, again, those personal appointments. And the other thing that happens is some people are homebound. So what about those activities at home? Just, playing cards or doing artwork together. We have one individual who has kind of developed this quasi book club. The client was a librarian, and so she's always reading. She's also bedbound. And she usually gives the LES an assignment every week, whether it's poetry. And I think if I remember correctly, the life enrichment specialist said, I've never really been a poetry person. She was an educator, but she wasn't a poetry person. And the client has shared with her this love of poetry that now the LES is like, I like it. So sometimes it can just be doing things together, playing Scrabble, etc. So thank you. Here's my information and Elizabeth's information. I will put it in the chat, but I want to hear about your questions, probably for both of us. Let's see what's already in the chat here.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Christine. That was very interesting. And I wasn't aware of the life enrichment folks that were available. So that's a great service.
Should stress they are not certified nursing assistants. So these are not caregivers. They're, it was funny when I started this job, everybody thought care managers were caregivers. And now I have to explain that concierge companions, which is essentially a life enrichment specialist, are also not caregivers.
Right. So I would think of them as kind of concierge type people that would just support you in your life and enriching your life. So yes.
Kathleen, would you like me to stop the recording now?
Sure.
questions because we can have more of a conversation.
Okay. So for those of you, hopefully everybody can see the chat.